Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Incubator Podcast. We're live at Hot Topics in Neonatology, and our next guest is coming all the way from Sweden, and we have the pleasure of being joined by Dr. Thomas Abrahamsson. Thomas, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you very much for being here.
Of course. You're a senior consultant in neonatology at Crown Princess Victoria Children's Hospital in Linköping.
Yes, that's correct.
University in Sweden. You have a very interesting session that you gave earlier today called Human Milk-Based Fortifiers. Does it prevent severe complications in preterm infants? I know that your group has done a lot of work with that. Can you tell us a little bit, what are the lessons you've learned in the use of human milk-based fortifiers?
So you know about formula that it increases neck and sepsis if you give that instead of breast milk.
Yeah,
we buy into that.
Yeah. So we thought, me and my colleagues in Sweden, we thought, how can we treat infants with cow's milk-based fortifiers? I mean, that's a lot of proteins. Almost half of the protein content in what you give to the infant is from the fortifiers, which is cow's milk, although we know the formula is bad. Mm-hmm. And then we heard about Prolacta. It's a company, and they have this product. And we start to communicate with them, and we eventually run this trial where we wanted to check if this their product could reduce neck sepsis and mortality.
Yeah, really the promise of Prolacta is really the ability to offer a completely human milk-based diet, basically, with the use of special fortifiers. Prolacta, they have a special cream, they have all sorts of products that allow you to move away from a diet that is constituted of cow's milk, basically.
Yeah. So, and the previous studies, the thing is, if you want to test if a fortifier has an effect, you need to just use the difference should be bovine based fortifiers or human milk based fortifiers, and the infants should get human milk from the mothers or donor milk in both study arms.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Otherwise, you cannot test it. So that's why that was the rationale we did the study, and we included 228. Infants, and we had really great hopes that it would work. The nurses said, because it was not blinded, we couldn't blind it, so they said, it works perfectly well. The abdominal comfort is wonderful, stool consistence, the stool rate, etc. It's much better. They said, So we had we really appreciate when we should have the results, and it was totally negative. So it was a really big disappointment, actually, from our side.
Yeah, and when you talk about the effects, can you tell us a little bit, because you mentioned obviously the nurses have this subjective assessment that they do at the bedside, looking at abdominal girth and other aspects. But what were some of the outcomes that you specifically wanted to measure?
I didn't say that. So the primary outcome was necrotizing enterocolitis. Mm-hmm. Sepsis, culture-proven sepsis, and mortality as a composite, because we thought they were interrelated. So we think that is a good composite, and that's the most, I would say, the most severe complications you could expect to have an effect on. But we also looked at necrotizing enterocolitis and sepsis separately, also to see if as a secondary outcome. But we didn't see any effect at all, actually. So it was, for example, necrotizing enterocolitis was 8%. In the bovine group and 7% in the human milk-based fortifier group, and that is basically a minimal effect.
Interesting. How do you guys look at these results and sort of make sense of it all in terms of what we were discussing earlier? It should be better. So do you have any leads, any thoughts, any postulates on why that is?
But one thing we discuss is that maybe. Obviously, the cause of necrotizing enterocolitis is multifactorial. So it's circulation and the microbiome, etc., etc. So cow's milk protein is probably important, but maybe circulation is more important in these very, very immature infants that we had. These were extremely preterm infants with a gestational was a
It's
the
fine.
sound there.
It's basically when
It's funny because the people listening to this will not understand what we're experiencing right
Yeah,
now
they-
because Ben
they're-
is so good at the sound engineering.
we're gonna make it
that-
work, but it's fine. It's fine.
Okay, they don't hear this. Okay,
That's right.
no, maybe circulation and the microbiome, etc., is more important for those very tiny infants that we included in this study because we just included infants with a birth weight below gestation week 28.
Yes, so the selection of babies was quite impressive in terms of being so immature. I'm gonna press you a little bit just because I feel like it's both a question to be asked about the paper, but a testament to the quality of the care you guys provide. Your neck rates are very low.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm not sure it's transferable everywhere in the world.
Do you think that you maybe how much do you think in terms of Bayesian analysis of this, your base rates of neck, do you think that because they are so low, maybe could there still be a signal there that you're not picking up because you're doing already a good job at baseline? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think if you would use in other sites, study sites, if you would give only breast milk to the infants, then you should also have as low neck incidence as we have. I think the sepsis rate has getting lower and lower in Sweden, and I think it's because we're getting better and better with hand disinfections, etc., all these measures. But the neck incidence, we are a little bit disappointed in Sweden. This was about 8%, as I said, and it has actually increased the last 20 years. And we don't know really why, but maybe because the survival rate has increased for 22 and 23 weeks, and then they can get a neck before they die. So,
of course.
I mean, I think it underscores the importance of human milk as the main nutrition for the baby, regardless of the fortifier. I also postulate that you have higher skin-to-skin rates and higher mom's own milk rates than perhaps we do in most units in the United States, and I wonder if that has something to do with it. Also.
Yeah, I would add also probiotics. Do you guys use probiotics?
Not for the extremely preterm infants. Yes, no.
Okay, that's important for us to know.
But I think our sites are smaller also. So I think the physicians, etc., they have a better surveillance of the infants, and maybe are more flexible and adjust things better.
Because we were talking about that off air, but saying, should we allow NICUs to grow to large numbers, or should we contain a unit to be a certain size because of the benefits, like you're mentioning, it has of being able to know the population, of following the same babies routinely. There's not a lot of publications on that.
Yeah, I think it's a kind of a cost benefit thing, because if you have too few, then you don't get the skills. But if you have too many, you don't have the possibility to.
I mean, again, I have no proprietary issue with this, but like I think we should be a little bit like the NICUs, even in larger hospitals, should be a bit like Switzerland. You should have multiple little units inside of one hospital that are staffed by a different group of people. But then again, gives you this flavor of being able to have a dedicated group of patients, a dedicated group of doctors, and less rotation. I think that might be better.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Anything so
now what?
So you're leaving us with this.
So
now
what?
Well,
I do studies in nutrition, of course, and doing randomized control trials to find better way to feed the infants, better growth, and reduce all these complications. That is what I will continue with. I think randomized control trials are very important to do. Otherwise, if we just start without them, people don't know what they are doing. So I think I will continue with randomized control trials in this field.
Absolutely. If for people who are looking for this paper, because I'm sure people are going to be interested in learning more about this subject. It was published in The Lancet, and it's called Effective Human Milk-Based Fortification in Extremely Preterm Infants Fed Exclusively with Breast Milk, a Randomized Control Trial. First author is Jörg Bach Jensen, and you are the senior author, Thomas.
Yeah. And it's an open access. So
it's open access, so everybody can download. That's a really big deal.
I do have one more question.
Please.
Yeah.
I think we in medicine have come a long way. The pendulum has swung between our collaboration with industry, but you guys sought out an opportunity to say, let's study this, let's look. Any tips for collaborating with industry and making
I think it's important I think it's very important that we collaborate with industry, because they can develop things and we can test them. of course, it's very important to have the integrity. So we own all the data. It's not Prolacta that owns it. So that's very important when you have this agreement. And they have been very good for I mean, we didn't have any problem with that with them and so on. So I think so you have to collaborate with them, but you have to keep your integrity.
Thomas, thank you so much for dropping by the podcast. It was so fun to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.